Hi, I'm John Sarakis with the Digital Mastermind. You're listening to The Climb. This is where agency owners and leaders tune in to get growth tips and strategies for growing their businesses. All right, welcome to episode 3. In this episode, we're going to discuss applying another industry or trade and what you currently do. And we've got a published playwright and a very successful agency owner, Lee Wochner, with us, and he's going to provide some insight on this. And before we get into that, I actually grew up on a construction site, so I have another trade that I can pull from myself. And building a home has a lot to do with building a website or building a campaign. And granted, doing that was brutal work, and it was with my father and my 2 brothers, which I don't recommend at all. But it's helped me in the long run, really understanding the work ethic and preparing something from a plan and executing on it to come to fruition. And in doing that, today we're going to speak with Lee Wochner about this, as I mentioned, and he's from out of Burbank. But before we get to that, Dave, do you have any prior industry experience that you pull from and what you do on your day-to-day?
I mean, my entire career was pretty much built from my hobby. I mean, when I was younger, I was a hobby coder. I used to make websites for fun. I was a big Aliens versus Predator fan, so I had the #1 Aliens versus Predator website on GeoCities. And so I just kind of took that passion and, video games and all that, and just took that into doing what I love, which is, created Oyova. So
no delivering pizzas or anything, didn't take anything from that?
I mean, of course, I probably learned more about insurance and the fact that your drivers are not covered when you're delivering pizza. That was the biggest takeaway that I had from delivering pizza.
All right, that's a good little anecdote. Another reason to give them an extra tip, right? They're covering more of it than they probably should.
Right.
All right. So I want to get into it with Lee because he knows a hell of a lot more about this than we do. And before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and state what we know about Lee. All right. So Lee, here's your business profile. As far as I understand it, you started your agency in 2007. That's almost 12 years in business. You have how many employees? 11 based on your website, including yourself, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. You offer brand strategy, web design, a full suite of marketing services, including traditional TV.
You're breaking up. I didn't hear it.
Oh, all right. We'll clean that up in post.
So whatever it was, yeah, we do it. Sure.
All right, yeah. Perfect. You're a serial award-winning agency, including a Marcom and some W3 awards.
Yeah.
And according to your website, you're a sought-after speaker recognized by the state of California as a quote-unquote California thinker.
True.
And you've written more than 24 plays.
Yeah, I did a count recently, and I'm currently finishing my 64th play.
Wow. Oh, wow. All right, well.
Yeah, well, they're not all good, so don't be intimidated.
Well, either way, thank you so much for joining us today. And you ready to get into to some of our questions here, my friend?
Absolutely. But, I'm actually interested to learn that you grew up on a construction site.
Yeah.
I come from a multi-generation family business on the East Coast, and it was a construction firm.
Really?
But we had a house. I didn't have to live on the site. So your experience varied.
Yeah, I guess your family was better at it than mine, is all I can say.
Well, so my dad's company and my grandfather's company built roads and bridges, sections of the Garden State Parkway,
Wow.
schools, gas stations, and very successfully. And my father had 4 children, and 3 of us were boys, 1 girl, and nobody wanted to take on the business. And so that's that.
We have a very similar story. Yeah, we didn't build any roads or bridges or anything like that. It was mainly from tract houses to luxury homes, like 20, 30,000 square foot homes for some reason for celebrities. And wow. he fired me in front of a bunch of people. So that was my outing, right? And then my brothers in the recession, they essentially were just like, all right, we want nothing to do with this. And it essentially dissolved. So very similar. No sisters. All right. So when I Google you, I see your Wikipedia page, which congratulations, it's a great looking Wikipedia page. But
a student set that up.
What's that?
When I was teaching full time at USC, I think one of the students set that up. But yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, they did a good job.
Okay.
But there's, I guess, because it's USC, there's almost nothing to do with the marketing. You know, most of it relates to your playwriting stuff. So, how
Yeah.
do you personally market for your agency, and also what's it like to live this double life?
Well, I think 25 years ago, I used to, because I've been in business my whole life, and I've been in the arts my whole life. So I used to try to keep them separate to some degree. And in the internet age, not only is that not possible, it isn't fruitful. And I started doing more corporate consulting in the 90s directly because I was running an arts organization, and corporate people in the audience would say, "Can you come help us with this project or that?" So it kept happening anyway. And then when we're talking to clients or prospects here, we always talk about the fact that we're a creative agency, and that, for instance, one of our designers, Joe, is a working musician. My business partner, I met her through the theater. She was an actress and producer. I was a writer and producer. One of the other guys here is a playwright and producer. So there's a lot of creativity here, and it actually manifests a lot of success in marketing, because of course it has to be creative and get people's attention. So clients actually like it. They like that that we're working in the field as creative artists as well.
So, all right. So you essentially sell on the fact that there's this broad brush of creativity that intertwines essentially with the marketing communications you guys create.
Yeah, with a nice strong thread of practical, pragmatic German Lutheranism that comes from my parents. And you know, and Amy, my business partner, her not German Lutheran, but her family worked for themselves as well. She brings a lot of practical sense. And the other thing I would say is this: we're not poets, right? I have a high regard for poets, but poets work by themselves up in a garret, you know, or a novelist. A novelist says, I'm going to be writing a novel now. I'll see you in a year or two. And theater people are collaborative people by nature, and they're running a business where the show has to start at 8. And people had to be able to park, and they had to be able to make their reservations, and the experience had to be good. And it really is running an arts business being in the theater. So there's a lot of relevance there.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of crossover.
Yeah.
You have clients in manufacturing, industrial, professional services, e-commerce, and nonprofits. That's you know, pretty across the board, right? What is your business development process to get more clients, and how have you done this to get all these different markets?
So I get bored easily. That's how that started. And and when Amy and I were starting the company, as you know, there are agencies that market, for instance, only funeral homes, which would be the death of me. That would just kill me right off. I'm just keep working these puns until you acknowledge one.
I love them.
Thank you. I mean, it just seemed like that kind of life would really give me a lot of grief. The idea of just doing death every day for a living, and I'm interested in new challenges. The music I listen to tends to be more experimental. So I'm not interested in doing the tried and true, and so we've always looked at what are the new things and what are the new challenges, what are the new opportunities. In terms of business development, we get a lot of referrals, of course, from happy, successful clients. We're very involved in our local community and in other communities, and we get referred a lot. And of course, we're doing some outbound and spreading the word ourselves.
Okay, all right.
And you know, and now the big new marketing initiative is doing the Oyova podcast, which we know will fill the inbox in my email.
I love it. Yeah, this is The Climb, the DMG podcast. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. But see, I'm just trying to link up with you guys because, you know, some of your glow will cast over onto me. So that's
okay. All right. I like it. Very flattering. I think that's also in the business development process as well.
If flattery gets you everywhere. Whoever said flattery gets you nowhere was a liar who wanted more flattery. No, flattery gets you everywhere.
Lee, do you see any crossover from you know, your arts work into your marketing? Do you have any crossover clients?
Yeah, we have. We've had a number of arts clients over the years, and we have a couple that we think are coming on board right now. We've had long-term relationships with some of them, and the field certainly knows us. Again, there are organizations that market only arts firms. That's not of principal interest to us. We want to learn things from different sectors and bring them across. There are some things that creative organizations do really well that a financial institution or an insurance agency or such doesn't. They're not as immediately creative. And then the arts organizations could sometimes benefit from new thinking about management and business practices. So we really do like to cross-pollinate.
So to follow up on that, I do have a question. Do you find that because of your arts background, you are more it's more satisfying to work on that? Or do you feel that you become more of a critic of your client's art and maybe there's some, frustration there? So to rephrase, do you think it's a net positive to take on a client, that meshes with your passion?
Not necessarily. I'll tell you, David, I feel that I'm an improver, right? I feel that most things can be better. And you apply that to all the troubles of the world and anybody's marketing and any art, anything you run across. And I try to look for the positive and see how I can bring further benefit.
So do you turn down clients because you're like, there's nothing I can do for you here?
We turn down people when we think they're shitty, evil people. We start right with that. If you're a shitty, evil person, we don't want to work with you. So when Amy and I formed the company, we wrote our ethics into our business plan. We spent 3 weeks having meetings and having real discussions about what our lives are about. We both have spouses and children. We don't want to take nonsense home to them. We've passed on things that we thought were ethically not a match for us or not a match for the team. So there are the things that aren't a match for us. And then there are the people who, whether they know it or not, we feel they have ill intent. And there aren't that many of those, but we'll always pass on that.
Do you have an example? I have to pry.
Yeah. So at times we've had people who practice various religions here, and we don't think they want to do hardcore porn sites. As a civil libertarian, I'm not opposed to free expression, but we didn't think it was right for them. So those sorts of things. I don't think I want to promote a smelting plant in downtown Burbank if that comes our way. I don't think that's good for the environment, good for Burbank. So we're a little choosy, but generally the people who come here have good products, good services. They need better marketing, and we want to have fun with them and help them achieve success.
Got it. Did you refer the porn site to another agency in Van Nuys by chance?
You guys opening an outpost? What's going on here?
All right. So doing a little background, and I think it's almost a cliche now, the entrepreneur kid story. But according to a statement you made, you've been a business owner since you were 11 years old, buying and selling comic books, where you said these were investment grade purchases. Correct?
You have done your research. You are correct. Yeah.
What comics were these?
Well, so I was a big Marvel fan, and I had all the Marvel comics. I did not have as many of the DC comics. And then my dad staked me a little money, and I bought an ad, a quarter-page ad in a thing called the Rockets Blast Comic Collector, which was a glossy magazine in the 70s. And I put it in there that we were buying comics, and man, we got deluged with people trying to sell their comics. And so I would send them a bid. They would ship the comics. I would evaluate them, buy what I was going to buy, send some back, and then resell them at shows or through the mail.
You created your first ad when you were 11 years old. That should be in your bio.
Yeah, you don't want to see it though.
No, you're 11, man. Like Mozart's first piece when he was 6 was shit, you know?
Yeah. I think any 11-year-old you'll find today would do a better job, but I do have a copy of it, and I look at it now and then and wince and try to remember that I was 11.
You still have it? You got to send that to us. Come on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you got to send that to us.
Will do.
All right, we got this recorded. Perfect. All right, Dave, did you ever make any money on comic books?
I still have them. I'm waiting for them to become worth something.
Where are
Dave,
they
we
stored?
have to talk.
Yeah, I've got a box sitting in my closet, probably about 75 to 100 comic books. I think probably the most valuable one I have is a #1 Spider-Man, not the original series, but the one that was kind of relaunched in the like late or early 90s.
Yeah, the Todd McFarlane one.
Yeah.
Okay, the Spawn guy. Yeah, I have a Silver Surfer first edition that is not in good quality anymore because of the humidity in Florida. It was placed in an attic, and yeah.
My problem is, when we were younger and we were told these things were investment quality items, everyone did that. So everyone kept them. So nothing became rare. I mean, I have baseball cards that I'm 40 years now waiting for these things to become worth something. And the storage and air conditioning costs that I've poured into keeping them in good condition is more than what it's worth. I actually have a comic book that is worth less than the price on the comic. So it's actually gone down in value. So it's ridiculous. And it's like 40 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
What is that? Howard the Duck?
The thing was just called Masters of Kung Fu.
Oh no, listen. That's Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. He's in the next wave of Marvel movies. You'll be surprised what that's going to be worth.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you $2 for it now.
I have 2 copies too.
Well, all right. I'll buy one for 2. Let's see what happens.
If that's a Marvel special Marvel edition number 16, you're buying me dinner somewhere.
All right.
All right.
So I'll tell you a little story from my history there, my early history. So I desperately wanted a copy of Fantastic Four #1. Like this comic book impacted my life, Fantastic Four. So I really wanted that. And at the time, there was a guy in Hauppauge, New York, named Robert Bell, who had a catalog, and he had it listed for $60. So I spent the whole summer mowing lawns back in the 70s to get $60 to send it to Robert Bell of Hauppauge, New York. My mother was appalled. In comic books, I think the cover price was 15, 20 cents at the time. And so she went to my dad and said, our son wants to spend $60 on a comic book. And my dad said, well, it's his money. I think he knows what he's doing. Let him be. So then she went to the church pastor and said, my son wants to spend $60 on a comic book. And the church pastor said, well, he's responsible. He knows what he's doing. It's his money. It's fine. So she couldn't get any support for her viewpoint. So I sent the $60 off to Hauppauge, New York. And the guy sends it back and said he didn't have any. It was out of stock. I was just crushed. So then just crushed. And in 1975, I guess, 4 or 5, it was the same year, I went to New York to a comic book convention. And there was a guy who had one, and he wanted $85. And I had $85. So I said, can I see it? And he treated me, of course, like, a little kid who wants to look at his precious comic book. He said, you have the money? And so I angrily pulled out the wad of singles from my pocket and showed him I had $85. So he pulls it out, and I bought it from him. And so my mother is beside herself now that I've spent $85 on a comic book. And I held on to it for a year, and I sold it for $200. And then she never said anything about it again. That was the end of it.
Wow. She trusted you from that point on.
Of course, if I had it now, it'd be, borderline house payment. So that's the sad conclusion of the story.
That's how it goes. And now we're going to try to lift it up with a new question. So since 2006, you've written over 5,000 posts on your personal blog, leewochner.com. Topics range from thoughts on world politics to Mad Magazine and everything in between. So begs the question, going through your current blog on Counterintuity, or your agency's blog, it's hard to tell whether you're writing some or not, but how often do you actually write content for your agency?
So lately, I'm doing a lot of editing for the content in our agency. One of the things that I'm blessed with here is we have 4 or 5 writers on staff.
Okay.
They're all really good writers. So I'm in the mix there. The one thing that I bring in particular is I was senior copy editor for a daily newspaper in New Jersey in 1987 to 88. And so I'll go through and I'll edit these things and put them into AP style and such. I do some of that writing. Most of it is done by the team. It's a mix.
I gotta say though, it's clear the posts that you've written, I think they're fantastic. Not that there's any, not that the other ones aren't good, but you wrote one about supercuts, what I'll put in the show notes here for everybody, and it is laugh out loud funny.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thanks. I don't remember that one. I'll have to go to my
Really?
blog and search for it.
You should search for it, and I'd be surprised if you're still taking your kids to supercuts.
No, never. No.
All right, there. The moral of that story is there. All right, now I guess that was going to be a follow-up question there. I know Chelsea appears to be one of your content writers. Would they say that you're pretty critical in the way that you edit the content that they produce?
One of the things I learned as an editor for literary journals and newspapers is you can edit people without changing their voice, and it's better not to step on people and remold them. No one likes that, but helping make sure that the line makes sense and that it's correctly punctuated and spelled is the sort of editing that I'm doing. Sometimes I'll say, you know, I don't understand the point of this. I don't think I get what you're trying to say. And you know, I commit that error myself. And so I ask others to look at my stuff. Faith on our team completely killed one of my posts. I mean, she said, this is really not good. And I guess she was right. So we didn't do that one. But I guess I'm a little touchy about grammar and punctuation and such, but that's how it should be.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, I'm the same way myself in most cases, with you know some rules that I like to break. Now I can see that you guys are big on selling strategy, but on your website, this caught me off guard. You offer a 12-minute strategy session as a call to action. Is this real? And if so, what can one hope to accomplish in 12 minutes?
So the great artists understood that craft gets you far. And I'll give you an example. If you gave me a year to write something, I would probably write it on day 364 at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right? So constraint actually liberates you because you have to do something within a time frame and in a way that fits the need. 12 minutes helps people really focus. And if you give people 12 minutes, they will tell you what the problem or opportunity is pretty quickly. And then you can give them an immediate thought about it. And then you can determine jointly if there's an opportunity or a problem that we can address. And then we would do some research, obviously.
Right on.
But 12 minutes
12
really,
minutes.
in 12 minutes, when you think about it, really sharpens your knife, right? You get 12 minutes. It's like in the movies when you see them defusing the bomb. They don't give the guy 9 hours to defuse the bomb, right? You know, the little ticker's going and it's down to 9, 8, 7. And on the last second or two, he or she has diffused the bomb. It's better that way.
Dave, when he said bomb, what was the bomb movie that popped up in your head?
Well, I was just thinking, isn't there a show called 24 Hours about a bomb that is ticking down from 24 hours?
And that 24 with
Yeah, that's
Jack
what I
Bauer? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I could cut that to 12 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Since what we got here? All right, but going back to your website, I want to be real. Looking at a lot of things, Amy Kramer appears to be the real brains behind the operation, right?
Absolutely so. Undeniably so. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what? I'm the great glowing Oz, and then you look behind the curtain, and it's Amy Kramer.
Okay. And you know, meeting her, she's a wonderful person. Also seeing that and comparing, I was like, you know what? I think this is all Amy. All right. So how do you guys break up work duties between the two of you?
I give her as much as possible, and I go out for Mai Tais.
Okay.
I recommend this to you, John.
So state that one more time, just so I can capture it.
Yeah. So I, try to allow her to do everything, and then I just go out for drinks.
I love that. All right, that's a good strategy.
Well,
okay.
Some people see it as I run the corporation and business development, and you heard that I do creative strategy with clients. She's actually working with all of the creative services here. So the project managers, account management, designers, and such. Those people just tolerate me. I don't.
So you show them, close them, and then put it into the essentially your production team, and you help out with some of the content writing from time to time.
So we do an initial strategy engagement, and I generally run that. A few of us will be in those sessions. My undergraduate degree is in literature and language, and that's actually more or less a degree in critical studies. So I'm trained in critical studies, and it's applicable to business and marketing because you're trained to look at things from a variety of perspectives to reach insights and conclusions.
Okay. All right. I had some clients over the years that were English majors, literature being some of them.
Yeah.
I think you would cross into a different realm because you understand good copy. It's as if we were writing for third grade teachers. It was brutal.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know.
Little scar tissue.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, you know, when your training is in literature, you're trained to look below the surface. What's the subtext of this? What's actually going on? And you can hear how that's a business skill. Why is the focus of the story this? And so studying Chaucer as an example, I studied Chaucer. I like Chaucer a lot. You start to realize that the Knight's Tale, for instance, is he's an unreliable narrator. He couldn't have had all of those adventures. And so you develop a little bit of skepticism, and then you apply it to the prospect who comes in and tells you his whole big story about how wonderful he is and how wonderful it's going to be. And then you're like, well, let me apply a little skepticism to this because there might be something beneath the surface. Or you get the story that purports to be about one thing, and then actually it's about something different. And so a client will come in and say, I'm doing A, and here's A that we do. And you go, you could do B. You're so closely related to B, and B seems really valuable. Have you thought about B? And oddly, the literary training preps you for that.
Right on. I think that's a fantastic crossover there. Yeah. All right, I love that. So jumping into the next one, you've been teaching playwriting since the 1990s. And I believe we touched on this earlier, but have you pulled any business from that?
So when I was running I'm still on the board of my theater company. When I was running my theater company in the 90s, a guy who became the board chair said to me, can you come consult with me? I'm doing a thing for the California Citizens Budget Commission, and I'm going to do a presentation, and I need to make a point quickly, and I don't think I'm doing this yet. So I went and worked with him for a bit in making an immediate point and helping him in his presentation and coaching him because I'm a stage director as well. And then that turned into working for Department of Water and Power. I'm sorry, no, we met at Department of Water and Power, working for the city of Los Angeles on charter reform and how to educate people and build the case for why charter reform was important. And so I got a lot of referrals and things from that sort of thing because, again, it's about immediate communication of the story, which is really what marketing is. Marketing and playwriting are about that. So I guess my answer to you is kind of yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I think I have hobbies, and I always look at how can I blend these two things. One being golf. Let me just say it. I'm a terrible golfer, but I do enjoy it for some reason, based on the libations and the beautiful views. But I don't have a hobby that does that, so to speak. Dave, how about you? I mean, I know you got a fan club. You got a hobby that pulls in business?
Not at all, and I kind of like it completely separate.
Yeah, you like the separation?
Yeah, I mean, that's my break. That's my mental reset. So I don't like talking business in my hobbies.
Oh man, how about you, Lee? Are you the same way?
I'm driven by work. I love work. I do work. The work I do, whether it's in the arts or in business, gives me meaning. I do feel that when you're helping a business owner create jobs, grow the business, stabilize the business, you're adding to the positive energy in the world, and that's the best drug I have found. There are other drugs out there, And I do like an occasional cigar and certainly bourbon, but the best drug I've found in life is meaningful work.
God, I know some other drugs I could recommend.
I know.
All right. So being a theater guy, how does that affect your sales process? Do you, put on a show during your sales pitch?
No, I don't think so. It's more of like a heart to heart. It's very genuine. I mean, we're not actually trying to sell people. We're having a conversation about their actual needs. One of the things we pride ourselves on is that we don't sell and we don't oversell, that we're collaborative and we're interested in the relationship. And so we were on an engagement with a multinational corporation a few years ago, and they had a far larger agency who picked their pocket for $7-8 million. And I've no doubt they were happy about it, but all of the work was terrible, and the client didn't understand. And we tried to explain to the client, this is not going to help you, and these guys are just pulling hundreds out of your wallet by the minute. Our stuff was producing, and we did pretty well on it too. It wasn't $7-8 million, but it was significant. Ultimately, the whole product line got canceled and the whole division shut down, and it's because of overspending, and everybody lost their jobs, and we're still in business and everybody else is finito. And that's not our approach at all. Our approach is what will benefit this client? What does this client actually need to do better and to meet their goals? So it really is a heart to heart, John, with people. And we always tell the truth. It's always truth telling.
Did you, I granted the truth telling part, I think that's a foundation and table stakes. Not that everybody follows that practice, but did you organically fall into this heart to heart process? Is that something that you learned before?
I think it's who everybody here is as a person.
Okay. So you didn't,
and we hire around that.
Yeah.
And our core values are posted on our wall when you walk right in, and collaboration is one of them. Being heartfelt is another, and that's who we are. We'll have a lot of fun with you. We will produce results with you. We're not going to just slide money and credit cards out of your wallet.
Okay. All right. And that's not what I meant by a show, by the way.
No, I know that, but we're in greater Hollywood when you think about it. And so there's a lot of that happens here.
Oh, that's a good point.
Not with us.
All right. And I think
everybody is going to be a superstar of stage and screen at any moment here in greater Hollywood. And all they need is XXXXXX dollars, et cetera, et cetera. And no. So we don't fall for that.
You go the other way. I get it. And I think this is a good follow-up. So it's pretty obvious based on reading your blog that you're not a fan of Steve Jobs or his management style.
I don't know if I would say that. I think there are some things to learn there, but I also don't think you need to be a prickly asshole all the time.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm getting at, but we can't argue that he created and fostered, an environment for creatives. But
absolutely,
what do you and what does Counterintuity do to foster an environment for your creatives?
We do team outings. We have inter-team celebrations. Everybody gets some way to reward other people on the team. We have a shout-out board. And we're an intentionally collaborative, team-based operation all the time.
What does that mean, intentionally collaborative? Do you guys is it, open door policy where you say all right, we're working on teams? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And we'll have projects come up where, hey, who wants to help with this? We anticipate starting something pretty soon that myself and somebody else here will be on. And then the third member of that team, I'm going to throw it open to people to self-nominate. Who would like to come play on this for X number of hours a day for a few weeks? Here's what we're going to try to do. And it's a fun thing. And whenever we've had an administrative assistant, the administrative assistant or the operations manager, who at some places would not be viewed as a creative, everybody is creative. Everybody has the potential to be brilliant and funny and eye-opening. And so everybody here gets that opportunity. And the administrative assistants who've worked at this agency over the past 12 years would just knock your socks off. They're so smart and capable and creative and fun. So everybody is invited.
With the creatives, it seems, and this may be my own experience, it's harder to have them execute on deadline. Would you agree with that statement, or do you have somebody that's making sure that that's happening and continually looking ahead, such as a strict project manager?
We have systems for that, and actually we're always looking to improve that. And a little browbeating and cat of nine tails never hurt. So just whip them.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding about that. Totally kidding.
We're gonna edit that part out.
yeah, please, so that nobody here ever sees it.
Yeah.
Oh no! What? Listen, I already told David what that comic book is worth. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not high fluent enough to figure out the editing part of it. But you did mention you were a big fan of the creator Nolan K. Bushnell, who's the creator of Atari and Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. So, and granted, he fostered somebody like Steve Jobs along those lines, right? I mean, he had this crazy creative, and he did everything he could with to keep him within his deadline, so on and so forth. Do you have any characters like that work on your staff that are just the brilliant minds that you have to kind of finagle and do what you can to get the best out of them?
Well, so yeah, Nolan Bushnell, I think most people would have fired Steve Jobs and thought he should have been living under a bridge when he was in his early 20s. I mean, it was kind of a nut job. I mean, this is a guy who, for a couple of months, ate only carrots, and then his skin turned orange. True story.
Right.
But Nolan Bushnell, and he smelled bad, but Nolan Bushnell felt there was something about that guy that had a spark, and he wanted to use it to light a fire. And so he let Jobs work by himself at night when only the janitorial crew would come in. And most of us would let him go, right? And in my playwriting workshop, Waiting for Godot is a play that seems to make no sense, written by a guy who doesn't know how to write a play. And I'm careful not to be the workshop leader who would kill that if that came into the workshop. You have to be open to new forms and new things all the time, particularly if you have a creative agency. So I always do my best to look at who's here and what they bring and what they need to succeed. And so if people need flex time, if they need a different way of working, and whatever it is, if I feel they're bringing something to this table, I personally would do my best to accommodate them. And we've always done that.
Okay. And do you know what the E stands for in Chuck E. Cheese?
No. What?
Entertainment. Chuck Entertainment Cheese. Yeah.
Imagine how lucky he is that his mom gave him that middle name.
I know, Mama Mouse.
By the way, what?
No, good.
When you're born, it's like if you're born with the last name Strange, aren't you going to go do some offbeat things, right? Yeah. So, by the way, Chuck E. Cheese, those animatronic characters, a guy I know, an actor and director I've worked with many, many times, directed a play of mine 2 years ago in Hollywood. He was the voice of the animatronic Henrietta Hippo.
Really?
Yeah. So Henrietta Hippo had a really high voice or whatever. It was this guy I know.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. How many? What is it, like 4 or 5 characters? I can't remember. I haven't been there in years.
Something like that. So my kids are older now, but I used to take the kids for birthday parties run by other kids' moms, and then the band starts to play and move, and I'm like, oh, there's Michael doing Henrietta Hippo, like every time. It was weird.
I had a horrible experience at a Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. I don't know, I was 6. I think it was a birthday party. I jumped into the balls, and someone had, or like it's the balls. I mean, you jump into it. What is it called?
Ball pit.
The ball pit. Thank you. And I was instantly covered in piss. I was so upset. And I remember
when you're jumping into the balls, you're near the piss. I mean, that's right. The way
yeah, but somebody had just urinated right where, and it was the worst feeling. I was like, oh God. And from then on, anytime somebody was like, "Oh, we're going to Chuck E. Cheese," I was instantly, "No, I'm good. I'm good." You know, just holding.
Forever scarred.
Yeah, very scarred. Absolutely.
But it's experiences like this, John, that ultimately turn you into the man you are. So we can't live lives of regret.
True statement.
Again, I've always heard that they had great beer and good pizza, and I never really partook. After, you know, the Piss Fest of 1989, I have, you know, never made it back.
Sorry, man.
It's all right. I can live vicariously through those of you. Dave, in fact, when was the last time you were at Chuck E. Cheese?
I think the last time, honestly, was a Little League Championship, you know, right after probably about 7, 8 years old. But, man, I hear they're making a comeback. I mean, I see new, you know, development, and they're putting a Chuck E. Cheese in it, and I'm thinking, how has that not gone out of business by now?
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
They always smell foul. I mean, those little kids running around in plastic all day. It's not a good scene.
Yeah, it's literally like, you know, 8,000 square feet of kid bathroom area with video games and rides in it.
Yeah, and tell me, and how would anyone clean those little plastic balls? Think about it.
Yeah.
So they don't.
No. So they don't. All right, Lee, you have a 3.5 rating from your teaching days based on rateyourprofessor.com with one student saying, "The most arrogant, horrible teacher on earth. This man should never, ever teach. He wants students to celebrate him. He has no interest in their learning. Awful teacher," quote unquote. How has dealing with these snot-nosed kids made you a better CEO and better equipped to deal with difficult clients?
Well, I noticed you didn't read the positive reviews, John, so thank you for that.
We'll put those in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's really nice. Because if you were to read those, John, I feel like I'm being grilled by some House committee right now. If you were to read those reviews, John, you would see that the other two people said he was tough, and if you didn't like to do the work, you didn't like him. And that's my response to that, John.
I love you.
I have no patience for slackers at university, in my life, anywhere. Whiners, complainers, slackers, no, go elsewhere.
Perfect. All right. I love that. I think that's a great answer.
But I'll add one more thing. So I'm honestly through and through somebody who cares. I care a lot. I care about doing good work. I care about people on a personal level. I care about the planet. I'm a caring guy. And when I meet people who don't care, it's infuriating to me. It really is. I mean, when you don't care about something important, like if you're in grad school, are mom and dad paying for this? Why don't you care about what you're doing? Why don't you care about what it costs them? Why don't you care about why you're in my class and what you're supposed to be doing? And I've helped launch a whole bunch of really successful playwrights. So I'm sorry for the person who left that review, and I'm sure that he or she is living in a ditch now somewhere.
Oh, so, and even on your Wikipedia page, which will also be in the show notes, there's like 10 or 12 other playwrights that you've had and touched. I think that's a fantastic answer that you provided. All right, sticking on the playwright note, being a well-known playwright such as you are, what play is this line from? "I've shat in better places than this."
Well, almost every play. That's in almost every play. I mean, when you think about it, Shakespeare might have said it a little differently, but no, we never leave that line out. I'm writing a play right now that's actually the title of my new play.
It's requisite in playwriting, apparently. I got to take your workshop. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, you would do well. You're a fun, clever, creative guy, and no, you would do well. You would.
All right, there's the flattering again. I knew I loved you.
Well, I'm trying to get you to edit me better in the post production. So.
All right, so you've been in business since 2007, and then of course that's right before the big recession. So you've seen a lot since then. What do you think agency owners can do now to protect themselves from another recession, or when we enter another recession?
So the first thing I would say is we should not accept the notion that previous norms will repeat, because the internet has changed everything. So the heart of humankind is communication, and speed of communication has gotten faster and faster, and speed of miscommunication, by the way. So we used to have recessions on a regular basis, and then they would last a year and a half, and then, you're out of the recession. And I think that norm's totally gone. And if you look at where this country was in the 1950s or 60s, and you look at this country in 2019, it's a very different experience. So the first thing you should do is recognize that if you think we're going back to that previous pattern, you would be mistaken. I think that, yes, people do tend to cut their marketing budgets. And if the recession is severe enough, they go out of business, clients. But if you're providing a valuable service that people absolutely need to weather that recession, you'll be around.
So when you started in 2007, you entered, the recession started like late 2007, 2008, we started seeing it. What were you doing to create that type of value?
So we grew during the Great Recession. And one of the things we did was we developed a little booklet called Don't Recede. Who says that you have to recede in a recession? We didn't. And so we put that out a lot. And what we started to do was look at what clients really needed and focus on those services, and then make sure that it's something that makes sense for them and that's affordable, that they can afford. So if you have a car analogy, the guy who was going to buy the new Lamborghini, now he can't buy the new Lamborghini. He still needs a car. Maybe he goes and gets a Hyundai. And so we were taking a lot of clients and looking at what's the opportunity and how can they grow. And I'll give you an example. We had somebody come to us. There were a lot of real estate deals done in the downturn, a lot of real estate deals that there isn't a lot of discussion about that. If you had cash, you were king because you could bail out somebody else's deal. So we had a client who came who had a whole bunch of a condo project that they had rescued. They had bought this condo project, and I think they were mostly finished. And they were out in an undesirable area. I mean, it's not Malibu or Beverly Hills. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't an area you generally talk about. And they wanted to know what to do with them, how they were going to market them during this recession. And so we pulled out a map, and we said, you know what? There are 4 colleges or universities around there. My son is getting ready to go to college. Do you know what it costs to live on campus or to find housing? These people would be better off, the parents, buying these condos and having their kids stay in the condo, because they'll get a big tax write-off one way or the other, because it's essentially a property investment. So we sold out all of the condos very quickly and developed a waiting list. And so what you hear is that was reactive to a different changing market and pulling kids who were overpaying to stay on campus or near campus into drive a little further and stay in a condo that your parent now owns and may will to you at some point as an inheritance.
Got it. All right.
You got to be solution based all the time. Solution based. And so whenever this recession hits, and I don't think it's going to be 2020 at all, whenever this recession hits, you have to stay solution focused and not bemoan whatever's going on. You have to respond. So
create a Hyundai with Lambo doors.
Yeah, the gull wings, ideally. Yeah, you really want that because they're so handy. Like when you're going through a little toll booth. So the DeLorean, people don't talk about the DeLorean, the first generation DeLorean, and I got in one of those back in the day, by the way. It was terrifying because the windows didn't open. And if it ever flipped, you'd be trapped in there because it was gull wing doors. So
I didn't know that the windows didn't open. That sounds terrible.
Oh, the second generation had a little sliding port in the window expressly so you could throw money into a change bin on a turnpike. Because before that, you'd have to pull your car ahead, set off all of the alarms and such because you hadn't paid the toll, get out and walk back and pay the toll. So yeah, I want a Hyundai with those wings. Yes. Please.
All right, man. What should the world know about you that I didn't cover?
Wow. What should they know the world? Well, I'm not hiding anything.
You want. No, I didn't know. I wasn't alluding to that. You can say anything you want. You can plug anything you want.
Well, I want everybody in the world to know that the world's foremost band is Per Ubu. Per Ubu is a revolutionary band. I love them. I love them to pieces. And I went to England 2 years ago. They're from Cleveland, Ohio originally. Now they're mostly based out of Europe. I went to England 2 years ago to see them play. And then I was invited to the synthesizer player's farm. He's a descendant of Thomas Edison. And they invited me for a rehearsal event on his farm. That was fantastic. And I'm taking my daughter to Spain in about 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks to see them play in Madrid. And they're not for everybody, but through and through, they are for me. They light me up. I love them.
Okay. All right. Very selfless plug for somebody else. That's sweet. All right. So they'll be in the show notes, but how would you like others to get in touch with you?
Email is fantastic. Lee@counterintuity.com. Love to talk to people about their projects and their opportunities and what they're trying to do and the positive impact they're trying to make on the world with their business.
Okay. All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us today.
It's been a lot of fun. Really appreciate the invite and really appreciate the friendship with you two gentlemen.
Oh, thanks, Lee. We love you, man.
All right. Thanks so much.